Hey everyone, and welcome to today's live stream. So glad to have you all here and to be back for a little bit. I've been in Lisbon in Portugal for about 8 nights, 9 days, and now I'm back in Amsterdam and just gonna be back for a few more days, and then I'm gonna go to Sweden to visit my sister for a little bit in Uppsala, where she lives. So I decided to make this video today because I have been going through a bit of a confidence crisis. In some ways, yeah, really, I have been struggling with bad confidence. And I hoped a lot of INFJs would resonate with this or relate to some of the things I'm going to say here, because there are some things that INFJs, I think, can feel especially unconfident about, things that we don't necessarily feel always strong about, things that we sometimes struggle with, things that we don't know how to deal with. And I've come up with 5 key things that I struggle with. First, I accept too much blame, and this is often feeling judging. 2, I tend to say yes too often, and I also think this is feeling judging. 3, I try too hard to think of solutions, and yeah, I believe this is introverted intuition. 4, I apologize too much for good things about myself, and I believe this is introverted feeling in the INFJ. 5, I don't give myself the independence and boundaries I deserve, and I believe this is intuitive judging. And wow, we're already 16 people in here. So I guess a lot of people might want to talk about these things. I hope so. So I tend to be overly self-critical. I've always been a little overly self-critical. I've always struggled with trying too hard to count what I do and how much I do it and how well I do it. And I tend to be a very big personal inner critic. One part of this is accepting too much blame whenever something is wrong. I feel like sometimes I make myself responsible for everything wrong in the universe, everything wrong with the planet, everything wrong with the human race, every struggle people have, every issue people are going through. I tend to see my own fault in this, and I tend to see my own responsibility with this. I'm responsible for people. I believe feeling judging feels responsible for people and for the community and for the group. Feeling judging wants to engage in diplomacy. It wants to manage people. It wants to help people through things. So this is a big part of it. Feeling judging likes to take responsibility, but it has a problem with taking too much blame. And there's a big difference between responsibility and blame. Sometimes I tend to confuse the two. I tend to believe that by taking blame, I can take responsibility. I can show people that I'm ready to be responsible and ready to help. I believe in showing blame and taking blame. I can also show myself as a person who is not infallible. I make mistakes. I have my issues. I have my faults. I have my flaws. I'm not a perfect person, so you don't have to feel that I am too perfect or that I'm too much. You know, some INFJs struggle with that. A lot of INFJs, I think, especially women, female INFJs, struggle with appearing too perfect. You know, a lot of people will say that you're too perfect, you can't be that good, you know. So that's something a lot of people hear. So I think in accepting blame and in taking fault and showing weakness and showing that you're not always good, I think I'm trying to balance up for that and outweigh that. I'm afraid of being idealized, and by doing so I can cut myself short quite often. And something I've been feeling lately is I've been working a lot on myself lately. I've been stepping up my game in a bit. I've been pushing myself a bit harder in areas where I feel weak and areas where I'm struggling. And when I do so, I tend to take it to an extreme. I have a tendency to take everything to an extreme. Maybe I should put that as number 6. I take everything to an extreme, in a sense. I take everything too far. I decide that, well, the people need this from me or the group needs this from me. So I push myself so much to be that and to go into that role and to take that role for everybody else. And then I realized that nobody needs me to be that much. Nobody needs me to go that far. Nobody expects me to do it that much. And by going that far, I'm actually going too far and I'm kind of alienating people. So it's always like I feel as an INFJ, I think you're struggling with how to position yourself in relation to the human collective. Okay, imagine you have this idea of the human collective, the planet Earth, everyone else, and yourself, and you have a tendency to place yourself a little bit too far away from everyone else when intuition is taking over, and a bit too close to people when feeling takes over. So you have a tendency to struggle with, where do I stand? Where do I put myself? Where should I be? Where can I make the most difference? Where can I have the best impact? When can I do the most for other people? I'm an Enneagram 4 myself, so too perfect. Maybe that's an INFJ 4 quality. INFJs do take too much responsibility, says Gemma. I think Jordan Peterson is an INTJ. He does want order and organization a lot, but he does come from a thinking point of view, because he gets very structured and systematic about things, and he has rules for life. His book is about rules and order and how people should live. And INFJs, we don't really define things that much. We tell people something. Sometimes I give people advice and I'm guiding people, and I say something like, "Yeah, you should be a good person," and then people say, "Oh, so I should be a good person," and then I feel a little bad because I don't want it to be a rule. I want to say, yeah, you should be a good person most of the time, but not always. It's never that easy. It's hard to make rules about anything as an INFJ. Like, you want order and organization, and you tend to think in terms of how people should live and how we should do things in a broad structure, but you don't want to define it too rigidly or too narrowly. When INFJs are stressed with responsibility, they snap at people. Yeah, I think that can happen. A lot of people, well, anybody who's stressed can snap. Anybody who's stressed can snap. But INFJs snap at people. And we snap at like the responsibilities themselves. And we snap when we feel like we have to be too perfect for other people. The INFJ door slam is an example, a pretty intense thing. I was talking about it earlier in Discord with some other people, and I was saying that can I even go back to it? My point was at least that INFJs tend to keep things too much to themselves. We keep our feelings to ourselves. We hold our feelings back. This is an introverted feeling quality. Holding your emotions to yourself inside, and then being too controlled in how you express yourself, in how you say things, in how you do things. Exercising too much control. Yeah, I feel upset, but I can't say I'm upset because I have to focus on what will long-term make things better. I can't get upset because that will be unconstructive and that will go against my long-term goals, or that will and there's this like thing about judging, and like judging is always focused on the long term, it's always focused on the goals. So it's also that you hold things back because you think they will pass. I might be upset right now, but it will probably go away, and it's just a small thing and I shouldn't get upset over it. But the thing is that judges always miss this. Small things can become big if you hold them back for too long. And one small thing is fine, and you can get past that, and you can forget about it the next day. But a small thing that keeps on happening over and over can actually become quite big. A lot of judges miss this. The judges, we think in goals. Perceivers, they think in targets. So a target, that's something like, oh, I hit this milestone today, or how I reached this today, or I made this today, or this happened today, or I felt this way. And got to meet this person, or I got to do this, or something like that. It's something that happens in a day-to-day basis. Always things happening, always things going on. You're always meeting targets. You're always achieving new things on a smaller scale level. Judging is always focused on goals, so that's always like in the long term. And for the INFJs, it's always focused on the long term and on the goals. So the goal is happiness. The goal is to be a good person. The goal is to never be angry again, and to find peace, and to find, center, and to find all those things. So you're constantly looking for that and working towards that. And there's a tendency to ignore the small scale and to pretend it's not there, and thinking it will go away, or to focus, this target, this keeps on happening, but if I just focus on this goal and just ignore it, it will go away. So that's often your strategy. Iris says, well-placed humor can actually be life-saving sometimes. It helps problems seem less daunting. Yeah, I've been going through, like I said earlier in the stream, a confidence crisis. And humor is so important in dealing with confidence and in dealing with goals and targets, because they relieve stress, They make things feel easier. They make things feel less daunting. So I use humor all the time. I take amusement at struggles and things that happen that go wrong. I take amusement at things that are, well, amusing, to say the least. And that always makes things easier. But another thing I realized is I have a confidence crisis because I set too big goals. Too big goals. So I'm telling myself, I have to achieve this, and I have to stop doing that, and I have to create this. And this is kind of an impossible ideal, or it is too rushed, or it's too fast. I rush myself. I don't pace myself enough. I don't calm myself down. I don't let things take time, because, a goal is not like a target. A target can be reached in a day if it's easy. But a goal is far away, so you can't reach it immediately. You can't let yourself feel bad for not reaching it immediately. If you set a long-term goal, you can't get a confidence crisis because you're not able to meet it tomorrow. You can't expect your goals to be reached as fast as perceivers reach their targets. You can't look at their perceivers and go, whoa, they're able to do so much and accomplish so much, and I'm not getting anywhere on my goal, because you have such a different time frame, and it takes so much longer time to reach where you're going. I'm going to get to point 2. Point 1 was I accept too much blame. And what I feel there is I'm not responsible for everything. I can feel and I can sympathize with what other people are struggling with, and I can go through their problems and their issues, and I can build bridges, and I can see that my problems are their problems and their problems are my problems, and what they are going through I can help them with, and what I'm going through they can help me with. And that is what I need to realize. What I'm going through they can help me with just as well as I can help them with what they are going through. What I feel responsible for, they can also feel responsible for. What I accept fault with, they can also take partial fault with. And we can take that fault together and carry it together, and that makes it easier. And that makes it less daunting, and that hurts your confidence less. Point 2, I say yes too often. And that's just when people ask for my help and when people come to me, I, of course, want to say yes, because every time I've said no, it has really hurt me. There's been times when I've said no to people who really needed me, and that's really hurt me in a sense, because I can think about that years later. I'm still thinking, oh, I should probably have helped them. I should probably have been there. I should probably have done something. I have a tendency to say yes whenever another person needs me. I need to be needed, I guess. But it's also that I say yes so often it comes at the expense of my own intuitive projects, and of what I'm working on, and of my ideas, and of what I like to do. And most of all, I think I dream of other people coming to help me, and coming to show up and to do things for me sometimes. That's my secret dream, to be rescued, I guess. That's my secret dream, to be helped. And whenever people do, it's like I'm in a seventh heaven. Whenever people help me, I'm like in seventh heaven. I'm like, I feel so good about it. I'm so happy, and like I'm so sentimental about it, and I'm so like I really think about it. That's the one thing I'm nostalgic about when people help me. That's something I always go like, that I get so romantic about and feel so good about. Being helped feels amazing. That's my lesson for rule number 2. Say yes, but also say yes to being helped. Number 3, I try too hard to think of solutions. There are so many fucked up things about the world and how things are today. There are so many things that should never happen. We should never have to deal with. We should never have to struggle with, like the inevitability of death and suffering and poverty and struggles across the world. And I try too hard to think of solutions. I can literally, I have a tendency to, in like Big Bang Theory, when they're sitting down and they're trying to work on physics and they're like staring at the whiteboard. I do that all the time. I just sit and stare at whiteboards. Okay, figuratively speaking, I don't actually stare at the whiteboard. I don't actually have a whiteboard, but I stare at something and I just stare and stare and think and think and think and think and think and think. And I just sit there, and my girlfriend goes, "What are you thinking about? What are you doing?" Whenever a problem occurs, this is what tends to happen. I tend to start thinking. Like suddenly it's like boom, like suddenly like a black hole opens up and like it's everywhere. And I'm like just looking through it and just swirling with it and like trying to find a solution somewhere in this black hole. Where is the solution? Is there some solution somewhere here? And sometimes I think of amazing solutions and I come up with great ideas thanks to this. And this is perhaps why I can make these videos and why erikthor.com exists, and why I'm developing theories on the cognitive functions and on personality types and on relationships. It's this compulsive theorizing. It's this diving into the black hole, and it's this all the fucked up things with the world, and all the struggles people have in relationships, all the bad experiences people have had with their ex-partners, or all the things that they are going through, struggles they have at work with their boss, all those things. I'm just trying to think and make sense of it and trying to come up with an answer to why it's happening. And I'm philosophizing all the time. And, philosophy is my biggest weapon towards confusion and struggles and sadness and frustration with world issues. I think if I didn't philosophize, I would be angry all the time. I would go around and I would just be frustrated with everything and everyone and with life itself. And I can feel that sometimes when I'm not able to think at things, when I'm not able to have this, when I'm not able to swim around in my own black hole and to think about things, that whenever I don't, I find myself getting anxious, rattled, snappy, annoyed, frustrated. And it's like I realize it to myself, like, what's going on? Why am I so upset about this? Why am I so angry with this? And then I realize, oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't been alone for a while. And I set that as one of the rules. This is step number 5, and I can never do things in order. I don't give myself the independence I deserve, independence and boundaries that I deserve. And that's intuitive judging to the biggest extent, because, intuitive judging, that's like your own independent idea and your own independent abstract project. It's your life path. It's where you're headed in life. And that path has boundaries. It has parameters. This is where you're meant to go. This is where you're pulled towards. This is where you need to go. So the NJ is best, archetypically speaking, summarized by the wanderer. The person who is walking their own path in life. The person who doesn't do what their parents expected them to do, who doesn't see the flowers and the castle suddenly and wants to go explore it. The NJ is the person that has this own abstract project. Like, maybe on the other side of the world there is a treasure chest waiting for me, just for me, and that's the NJ, and I have to go to that place and I have to check if there actually is a treasure chest there. That's NJ. Maybe at the end of the sea there is another continent. Maybe at the other side of the world there is something, like there's this idea in NJ, that there is something unknown, a mystery, something going on, something waiting for you. And part of you is to be realized as you reach that destination, and part of who you are is in walking unknown paths and finding new roads, and in creating new roads and setting down new footsteps, and walking where nobody else has walked, just to see what is there. So I don't give myself the independence I deserve. And what I mean with this is in allowing myself to walk that path when other people think I should be walking somewhere else, when other people think I should be getting another career, studying something else, working with something else, when other people think I should be doing what they do, and when they have this figured out this solution for me and they think this is going to be great for me. NJ is all about giving yourself the independence to walk your own path and to find your own answers and to do what you want. And I really love the Vajana song in Disney for this. I do think Vajana is an INTJ, not an INFJ, but staring at the edge of the water, like wanting to go out there and see what is out there, when to some extent everyone else wants you to do something else, and struggling with that. And I think this is in part a 7 thing as well. I believe I'm an INFJ with the 7 tendency. The 7 is the seeker archetype. The 7 is the person who wants to find something, discover something, explore something. So when you want to explore, find something with your intuition, that's a sign of a 7. If you want to find the answer to something or to understand something, that's the 5. That's the sage. So yeah, just a quick thumb rule here. I don't give myself the independence I deserve. What I'm looking for here is giving myself boundaries and setting down and reminding myself of where I need to go and giving myself time to explore that. And, I always assume or fear that it will conflict with my desire to help other people or to be there for others or to support others in some way. But what I realize is I can keep doing that on my journey. And I should keep reminding myself to do that on my journey. While I'm going towards this place, I should always keep an open eye to the people around me, who I meet on the way and who need my help. And I should always walk with them, follow them, let them follow me, and see where we can get together. So this was supposed to be rule number 4, but taking it last. This is, I apologize too much for good things about myself, and that's introverted feeling. I struggle a lot with extroverted thinking, and I struggle a lot with the system, and I struggle a lot with internalized expectations and weaknesses and inferiorities. I feel so bad for being sensitive. I can snap at myself, and I can snap at other people who have the same personality type as myself. I can look at them and I can see the faults that I have, and I can talk shit about them, and I can feel so upset about who they are, and that they are sensitive and that they have their process and that they keep emotions to themselves and that they are going through problems. Introverted feeling is a very sensitive function, and that's its strength. I apologize too much for good things about myself. Yeah, sensitivity is a good thing, and letting yourself be sensitive is a part of letting yourself be strong. The more sensitive you allow yourself to be, the more strong you allow yourself to be. So what you're ideally looking for as an introverted feeling type, as an IF, INFP, INFJ, is just that reminder that thanks to your sensitivity, you have a high emotional processing power, in the sense of being able to make sense of people's feelings and struggles, and to read their intentions, to understand them, to know how they work and how they think. It gives you the power to understand the values and the nuances in yourself and in who you are, and to recognize things you feel and things you experience that are not logical in their nature, that do not make sense. Just realizing, oh, I want this, and oh, I need this, and oh, I'm dealing with this. So yeah, you shouldn't apologize for good things about yourself. I think introverted feeling types love to apologize. uh, we love to because I think there is a self-involvement quality about introversion and introverted feeling, that it makes things about itself. Something is wrong with the world. It must be because I have not found inner peace, because I'm not the best person I could be, because I'm not the person I dream of being. It must be because I am not doing what I believe I should be doing. Introverted feeling types, they have a sense of their own uh, kind urges and their own selfless aspects. And there's nothing wrong with the self-absorption to some extent, when it's just recognizing what you can do to make things better, recognizing how you can be to listen and to support other people. But there is a problem when it becomes too introverted and not enough in feeling, in that it becomes making things your fault when they are not, and making things a problem when they are not, because there are things about you that should not be seen as problems, things about you that should not be seen as issues. And the fact that you get upset sometimes, or that you get tired sometimes, or that you get lonely sometimes, or because you feel a certain way, those things should never be like rationalized to be something bad. You should never rationalize away your emotions and how you feel, just because sometimes it can make things inconvenient for other people. Just because you're sad or upset or angry, that's not something, and just because that can inconvenience other people at times does not mean it's something bad, because other people need your sadness and anger, and they, as much as they need your happiness and your peace of mind when you have that. So yeah, don't apologize for feeling sad, or for feeling hurt, or for feeling upset at times. Just say, I'm feeling upset right now. And yeah, then other people get upset as well, or they get a little sad, or they go, oh, that's too bad. It's not good at all. And you don't have to feel guilty at those times. And I think there's a tendency to feel too guilty at those times. Peter Bunde says, we all struggle with different things. If you're taking too much on your shoulders, it's not easy to lean off. It takes time. You need to develop your lower functions. Yeah, I said in the beginning I had a confidence crisis, and one thing about it is, when you start feeling low confidence, ask yourself, is it really that I'm weak, or is it that I am asking too much of myself? Because 9 times out of 10, you're asking too much of yourself. Too fast, or too much, or too strongly, or too extreme. So lower your expectations on yourself. Peter Bunde also says, sadness is great. If you felt super happy all the time, it would be like every day was Christmas. It wouldn't be special and memorable. But it's not just about things being special and memorable. To me, it's also about sadness and anger being important at the time. It's not necessarily that we need to be sad forever or all life just because it will make happy days more happy. It's because it will teach us something about struggles that we are genuinely having. Sadness is an aspect or a lesson in genuinity, in authenticity, and in being yourself, in feeling what you're feeling at the time, and learning from bad experiences. So you see something as bad and you get sad, that's great. Then you can learn from that and you can get through that. My biggest argument sometimes with like ENTPs and NTs and STs at times as well is that they tend to see bad emotions as unnecessary, just be happy all the time and just fake it till you make it. To me, it's like, but when you're sad, you can also learn a lot from that. And then if you can be sad together with someone, that's perfect. Chat E says, have you seen Dave Superpower's videos / lessons? Yeah, I'm really curious about them. I don't define things like he does at all, but something that I've learned about Dave Superpowers is that where he sees the MBTI as a system of, and as like an integrative model, you know, an INFJ is somebody who sucks at SE. That's his take on the INFJ. An ENFP is somebody who sucks at SI. That's his take on the ENFP. And his idea then is we need to integrate, we need to develop our weaker functions, we need to become more balanced. His model is almost like we're supposed to reach an end goal where we're not ENFPs anymore, but where we are some kind of NESI, FITE balanced superhuman. For me, the MBTI is a preferential model. So what that means when you're an INFJ, that means you love being an INFJ. That's just your preference. That's just what you like doing. So you love to philosophize. You love to be with people, to manage people. You love to engage in some kind of artistic expression of yourself and who you are and what you feel, even the things that don't make sense. And you love to work on independent abstract projects. That's the INFJ to me. And you don't have to develop your ESTP functions. You don't have to go into your lower functions unless you need them at the moment or the situation you're currently in. You don't need your inferior. So I believe use your top cognitive function as often as possible. Dave Superpowers believes, and maybe I misunderstood it, but more or less find balance. So to me, I work with the preference-based model because I believe in flow and in relief from stress and anxiety and the pursuit of your interests and your hobbies and your values. And intuition is your hobby as an intuitive. Feeling is your value as a feeler. Thinking is your value as a thinker. So sensing is your hobby as a sensor. So if that's your hobby, that means that's what you get energy from. That's what you get meaning from. And by doing that, you feel so much better. So I say develop your dominant function, develop your flow functions, and develop your vulnerable functions. Yeah, you'll be a more rounded person, but I don't need people to be round. You know, I think people are different for a reason. Still, I believe his model is actually great for understanding development quirks and differences in development. It's almost like his model stops feeling valid as soon as a person becomes balanced and hits their 50s. He even, I think, said so himself that once people get old, they become really difficult to type for him because he believes then most people have become rounded, and then yeah, maybe they're not even a type anymore. Maybe they're just some kind of balance, which is yeah. I love his videos. I love watching his videos, and I learn a lot from them. I think his take is just different from mine. He explores a different part of us than what I do. Scorps asks how old I am, and I am, how old am I? 26? That makes sense. 26, that sounds about right. So yeah, those were my 5 rules. I accept too much blame, and my solution to that is share blame with other people, not just with yourself. Number 2, I say yes too often. My solution to that is say yes to being helped by other people in return. And I have another rule to that that's also very important. Tell people what you need to be able to help them. This is super important. Somebody asks you something. Tell them what you need to help them. If you don't, you're not going to be able to help them. This is the honest truth. If you don't have what you need to help another person, you're not going to be able to help them. So if you can set realistic demands like, yeah, I can help you, but then you have to listen to me and follow what I say. Yeah, I can help you, but then I need this from you at some other point. Yeah, I'm going to help you, but it's going to take some energy and work from me. So if you could give me this in return, like those things are super important. Number 3, I try too hard to think of solutions. And my solution to that is, I guess, there is no solution to that. But there is one in rephrase your questions. If you ask yourself a question and you can't think of the answer, ask yourself a new question. Don't hold on to the old question. Ask yourself a new question. Keep asking yourself new questions. Imagine yourself drawing cards from a pile, like tarot in a sense. Take up that card. Can I answer this question? Can I think of something? Then start thinking about it. No answer comes. Take a new card. This is Introverted Intuition 101. Take a new card. Keep taking new cards. Keep asking yourself new questions. One question. And it can be like, first, where should I eat tonight? And then it can be, what do I like to eat tonight? What is easy to eat tonight? That's reframing, reframe, over and over, reframe by reframing your questions. So ask yourself, when you can't find an answer to one question, come up with a new question. I learned this from reading a book earlier, actually, Spellslingers, the book series by Sebastian de Castello. Sebastian de Castello's Spellslinger series is perfect for people who want to understand introverted intuition and how to develop it, as well as intuition and judging, and feeling and judging. So, yeah. Anyways, introverted feeling. I apologize too much for good things about myself. Don't apologize for it. That's my solution. Don't apologize for good things about yourself. Remind yourself when you're talking to somebody and you're feeling bad about something. Yeah, I did something bad, but... or maybe, yeah, this was bad, or maybe this wasn't good. But did it come from a good place? Where did it come from, What part of yourself? Like, don't try to change those integral parts of yourself that are inherently good and important. Think about what's good about yourself, and don't judge what's good about yourself. That also gives you the power to change the things that are not good, that are actually not good. Finally, give yourself the independence you deserve. Trump is an ESTP but tends to outsmart many intuitives. Is that an SXSO quality? I'm not going to answer that question. Droopy says, I would rather work on my top functions. If you're a wizard in an RPG, it's better to stack up mage abilities than a sword on a board. Sure. I like the metaphor. Iris says, it is important to at least develop your inferior functions a bit. As an ENFP, it's important to develop a bit of a routine or a bit of structure in your life. Yeah, maybe work with a 75-25 model. But for me, it's all about what's necessary. The inferior functions are only important because they are necessary aspects of life. We have to pay our bills on time because that's how society works. So ideally, you're looking to live a life and to arrange your environment so you don't need to use them more than you need to. And you want to reduce them and find strategies long-term to make sure you don't need them that often. At your current workplace, you might need to use your inferior 75% of the time. But what you want to do is convince your boss to change your work missions and tasks and how you do them so you can use and do things you love. And you want to gradually decrease that or switch jobs so that you can do things you like to do. And yeah, a bit of a routine. Yeah, like to some extent. And I think it's in one way it's about surfing on the milestones that you're achieving. That bit of routine, that bit of structure comes from surfing on the milestones that you are achieving right now. So like imagine this. A new opportunity arrives in your life as an ENFP. Wow, ENFPs love opportunities. So you jump at that opportunity. Now you're standing on an opportunity. You have to recognize that. I'm standing on an opportunity right now. It's like a floating abstract platform in the air. That's how I can see it. You're standing on that. So wow, you're standing on that. That's great. Now that is your little bit of routine and little bit of structure in your life. That block that you're standing on. Then you jump to another one. And that platform is not that stable. That platform starts to wobble, and that opportunity is quite shaky. And oh, it's gonna fall down in any second now. Then you have to jump to another one. And that one that fell, that was not a healthy or stable routine, and that opportunity went away. So now you have another one. And that one is a stable, steady block. Now you have two stable, steady blocks. That's a part of your ENFP routine. That's what you're looking at. What I'm telling you here, to go from abstract to more practical terms, is all the opportunities that you find in life that give and promote a healthy, balanced lifestyle, happiness, security, they make you feel good, they're reliable, accountable, they work well, they fit your needs. Those are part of your healthy bit of routine and structure. And all those other opportunities out there that you see and that look interesting but are kind of wibbly wobbly and kind of upset you and kind of annoy you, and they're not good routines. They're not good opportunities. So just learn from that. Keep feeling and balancing yourself by feeling, how does it feel to stand on this opportunity? How does it feel to be here? Keep balancing and rebalancing yourself. That's the ENFP development of any NSI. Peter Bunde says, I'm mostly worried that I'm wasting my life by squandering potential opportunities. There are always new opportunities. Opportunities are like a constant stream. They're coming all the time. Like they're passing you by all the time. INFJs, we tend to miss most of them. 95% of all opportunities in life, they just passed over your INFJ head. You don't even recognize that they were there. You want them all. Well, you're not going to have them all. And you're not going to like them all. So, yeah. When I want to know what I'm scared of, I usually write a hypothetical dialogue with a person that I think could throw something mean into my face. It really works. Try it. That's a cool idea. I love having hypothetical dialogues with other people. I do that all the time. When I was in politics, I would have hypothetical speeches. And I would hold a speech in my head, or I would engage in a discussion with my opponent, and I would hear them and their arguments. And suddenly I would think to myself, man, I would be such a good conservative. Whoa, I'm so good at thinking like they do. I could argue so much better than they do. They argue in such a stupid way. If I was in their position, I would make much smarter arguments. Probably not true in reality, but that's how it feels sometimes. It's really nice to write hypothetical dialogues, and it's a good way to balance ideas. NPs, if you're an NP, you need to bounce ideas towards something. You can't just have ideas simmer out anywhere and just throw out the juggling ball and another one and have no bouncing block, no walls, no structures, nothing that it can bounce against. The worst thing for an NP is when you throw out the ball and there's nothing to bounce against, and it just keeps on falling and falling and falling. Then it goes away. So you do need bouncing blocks as an NP. I'm good at debate except for stage fright. Yeah, I'm a huge stage fright myself. I'm really nervous, really anxious about a lot of things, and I tend to become really easily rattled. But it's also really exciting for me. When you manage to turn those nerves out, it's the best feeling ever. What you need to do is just be nervous, let your nerves build up until it feels like you're everywhere and like everything is like tingling, you're really full of energy, then turn that out. That's how you manage nerves. I almost threw up because I was nervous. I spent an hour, 2 hours in a bathroom because I was so nervous. Three hours in a bathroom. Amber asks, how do you overcome the people who target INFJs? Boundaries. I learned the thumb rule actually recently. I don't remember. What was the thumb rule again? Oh yeah, a good thumb rule for people, especially if you want to know what kind of person you're dealing with, is say no early in your friendship. Almost one of the first things you say when a person comes up to you should be no. And what you should observe is, how do they handle being told no? Yeah, you're diplomatic. Yeah, you love to build relationships with people. Yeah, you like to get along with people. Yeah, you like to connect with people. But a part of that is also learning how they deal with being told no. If they can let it go and say, okay, what do you want then? And come along with you, then you build a relationship. If you can't say no, and if you say yes to everything and try to help them and try to go out of your way to be there for them, and they just keep pulling you and pulling you and pulling you, and you can never say no, you're not having a relationship, you're not building a bridge. It's more like you're throwing out a rope and like pulling onto them and pulling and pulling and pulling after them. And I don't know, my metaphor is perhaps a bit off, but what I'm saying is, a relationship is a bridge, not a rope or something more fragile. A relationship is a very strong foundation. It's two people able to count on one another. Ben Quinn, you don't have to have debates if you don't like. I don't like having debates, so I don't really have them anymore. And that's the truth. I don't like having debates. I don't have a lot of debates. What you can do is just say, I see your point. Like, there's a debate method that's perfect for introverted feelers, and that's verbal aikido. Say, I see your point of view. That's interesting. Or, I can see how you think that. And empathize with other person's position and with your own. And just explore, oh, how do you see things differently? And just see it as a matter of intellectual exploration. That's debates for me. Debates for me are just intellectual exploration. It's not two people clashing against each other's. It's my point and their point and us going together and like seeing how they fit together and how they work and what the other person means and how they define it and how they understand it and seeing why they came to think that way, and counseling and giving them a therapy session, going, what made you feel that way? Was it because of how your mom treated you when you were younger? No, I don't say that. But my point is, I listen to people and I just have interviews and discussions where we just talk about things. We don't argue. I don't like to argue. And yeah, you don't need to argue if you don't like to. It seems like a lot of people really, really want to be INFJs. No, I don't think people want to be INFJs, but I think everybody wants to feel special or wants to feel unique in some way. Everybody wants to feel rare in some way. Everybody wants to be understood for what's rare and unique about them, you know. And INFJs are the only people who get that level of validation in the MBTI. INFJs are one of the few MBTI types that get told that, yeah, you're not like everybody else, and you're special, and you're unique, and you have something unique about you. So INFJs feel really good about that. And all the other types, they need that as well. When you're an ENFP and you get the ENFP type description, you should be told ENFPs are actually quite rare, and like only a very few percentage of the world are ENFPs, and very few people think that way, and that can be very lonely sometimes, because it is sometimes very lonely when nobody else thinks like you. And the ISTJs should also get this. Yeah, not everyone is an ISTJ, and so sometimes you're not going to feel understood, and sometimes you're not going to feel like everybody can relate to you and knows how you think. And the ISTJs deserve that validation too. Everybody needs to be told they're special in the MBTI, because everyone are special. Everyone is unique. And very few people grow up feeling like, oh, it was so easy. Everybody understood me and everything was so great and everything was so perfect. And everyone was like me and everyone was thinking like me and everybody was, very few people have that experience of life. So we need to go and rewrite all the personality descriptions. Everybody go to 16 personalities, go to all the MTI websites, start up your own website and write your own ENTP description, and start with, as an ENTP, it's very difficult. And you're going to get a lot of views because a lot of ENTPs are going to want to hear that and need to hear that, and would feel great hearing that. Okay. This was today's live stream. Thanks everyone for joining up. So nice to have a consistent 30 people in here, even though I've been gone for a week and I feel bad. But I also feel good having a vacation. It clears my head. And Portugal was amazing. I want to go there again. Maybe I want to live there for a year. Many breaks is important. This was really cool. Really cool, actually. Maybe I should have turned the lights on earlier. So dark. Yeah, I'm gonna watch not Argentina versus Iceland, maybe, but I'm gonna watch soccer. I'm actually gonna watch soccer these next weeks.